Hi, everyone. It's so good to see all of you. I hope you're all having a wonderful day today. Thank you for joining me for the next video in my talking series. I've got Dollparts here with us, and we're going to be vibing. Today is Unleashing Your Inner Goddess in Virtual Reality and Furry. Um, in essence, one of the more interesting facts or things that kind of cropped up when I first got into VRChat was that I was able to explore a lot of different varieties of avatars, many of which allowed me to express myself in unique and interesting ways that I've never been able to express before. One of the fun things about being in VR is, you can be big or tall, small, short, fat, round, upside down, cube, triangle, all kinds of fun shapes. And you can be video game characters, you can be humans, you can be animals, you can be memes and cartoons. There's so many different wonderful things to experience and do in here. But one of the things I noticed over time is that a lot of us kind of started drifting into more feminine avatars. A lot of folks would come in and they jump into avatars that are beautiful or sexy with voluptuous curves and things of that nature. And at first I thought, oh, just they're pretty avatars, and I can see why anyone would want to, be something else or try something else. But for a lot of people, the pipeline to femininity kind of starts here with us. When you join in and you get into an avatar, you have the ability to customize and try different expressions and different ways of presenting yourself that you don't normally get in real life. Um, for me, particularly, it was unlocking a lot of my desire to be feminine. I'd always had a uh, desire to be more feminine IRL, even since I was a little kid. But, growing up with my conservative family, I felt like I needed to really push and portray that masculine idealization of who I'm supposed to be according to my family and my birth gender. This wasn't the worst thing in the world for me personally, but I was always very much into more feminine expressions of self, and it kind of caused a lot of dissonance in my brain, and I disassociated a lot trying to rectify my feminine side with my attempts to create a more masculine side, and it just always was at conflict with each other. When I got into VR, I still had that same problem. I still tried to embrace that femininity that I really feel deep in my heart, but I couldn't really, cross the lines too much. I still avoided, jumping into all exclusively female avatars and things like that. But over time, being here with many different types of avatars, and expressing myself and being in a supportive, understanding community where it didn't matter what your gender is, you can present and express yourself in any which way, shape, and form in VR, really allowed me to kind of explore myself and explore my gender identity and what I'm who I truly am. And it helped me really kind of come to terms with my desire to be feminine and my desire to embrace who I truly am. And that is something that I found to be truly a big blessing in my life, particularly. And it's made such a positive impact in how I see myself, how I express myself. And it ultimately led me to the decision to transition IRL, because if I can go into VR each and every night and express myself as I see myself truly, who I am, who I want to be, how I want to be perceived, how I want to be treated and addressed, everything from pronouns to attire to friendships and relationships, it can all be what I've always wanted it to be. And then there's that dissonance. You take off the headset and suddenly you're back in, your normal regular IRL body, and you're kind of back to the status quo. And I decided that that wasn't really going to cut it for me anymore, and I decided to transition. Um, I've seen so many people find themselves essentially exploring different types of gender identity roles. And for this particular video, we're going to be talking about femininity and finding your true self in this form. Now, you may or may not be looking for your femininity in particularly, but this is kind of where the background I'm experienced in and what I've seen and experienced in VRChat, and how this really helped me kind of embrace who I am and help me make positive, impactful changes on my life, because I was able and given this beautiful, unique opportunity that's only been around for a few years in human history to really express myself, swap my gender, swap my visible self in a quick and easy and painless method, and allow people to really embrace it. And I can tell you right now that switching over to a more feminine pronouns, identifying as a woman, the community, my friends, the people in my life have all been so incredibly supportive and accepting, and I am very blessed that I'm in this community, in this role, and in this environment where I can flourish like that. And I wish it was as easy as that in hell, but the fact that it's here and it's available to me is been quite literally life-changing. So, we have Doll here, and I wanted to see what your thoughts were on unleashing your inner goddess within virtual reality.
Thank you. Well, I'm a little bit different than Heart in this case, as I kind of already felt that I was feminine at heart before I got into VR. So my experience is a little different, because these feelings of wanting to be, in my case, a woman, have already kind of been there from the beginning. As a person that's much younger, I've kind of grown up in an era where these feelings were starting to be normalized. So in my case, I feel like it was both a little bit easier, but also had its own challenges. I remember in particular that I was an early adopter of VRChat, though I was in desktop by the time that I was in VRChat, which was around 2016, 2017. This was when I was still kind of dealing with my gender and how I felt about myself. So obviously I kind of used VRChat as a way to kind of express myself in different ways that I normally wouldn't be able to do in the real world. Though I remember I mainly kind of fit towards more ambiguous or masculine avatars to not raise any alarm bells with people. But as I started to develop in the offline world and being able to express myself and have people that support me for being a transgender woman, it got a lot easier to express myself in this way, and I feel like VR has helped me with that. Now, I'm also on hormone replacement therapy, but I've only recently started, though I've been trans for around 6 to 7 years of my life. And in the limbo that I wasn't on HRT, VR has really helped me, express that feminine side of myself that I normally don't get to show in the real world due to my area and people around me and comfort levels and all that stuff. And it's been really nice to be able to let that free, because at the end of the day, I think everyone should have their own comfort space and be able to be themselves, not just for the sake of others, but for themselves. I think it's really important that people have a safe space where they can not have to lie to themselves or put up an affront, because at the end of the day, gender is such a hard thing to define. It's really more of a spectrum than it is binary, and there are a lot of different ways to express one's gender. You're not conformed to a specific role, and I don't think we should enforce that. I don't think there should be gender roles. If you want to be, more of a traditional woman or man, that's perfectly fine, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. But I don't think we should be forcing gender roles on people.
Absolutely.
Now, in my case, Yeah, go ahead.
No, finish in your case.
Sorry. In my case, if anything, VR accentuated my feelings of femininity. Um, it is really, really validating to be in an avatar that has the proportions and the body that you want, even if they can be, anthropomorphic animals, aliens, robots, etc. The most important thing is that having this feeling, that knowing that this is how you feel about yourself is really important. And it's even more validating when you have people that are okay with you being the way you are and accept you regardless of how you decide to orient yourself.
Absolutely. In the terms of expressing oneself, I think that's where this video ultimately kind of correlates into unleashing your inner goddess. For the folks who want to express or dabble or explore their gender identities, VRChat has become an amazing place, a wonderful playground for inner growth and development. Don't get me wrong, there's definitely toxic people here. It's still the internet, the wild, wild west. There's still terrible folks out here. There's still toxic people out here, but you can still find wonderful support groups such as the Transgender Academy and other interesting individual groups and friend groups and things like that. When you want to explore something, particularly femininity, because that's where I'm kind of coming from in my background,
Same here.
there is literally nothing more freeing than jumping into a different avatar and trying out the different proportions, especially if you have full body, but you don't need full body. You don't even need regular VR. You can just get into desktop, for example, and just swapping in and out of different proportionate VRChat models, regardless of species or how it looks, but just kind of going, hey, I'm gonna try being a woman today. I'm gonna have different proportions, and this one feels right, this one doesn't. Changing, if you are particularly like us and you have your own avatar bases that you find are amazing, you can create your own custom textures and personalize. This is my personal Nova Beast. This is Doll's personal Nova Beast. These are representation of our characters. And because
of these.
yeah, she did. And with that, creating that personality, creating a custom avatar, even if you're using a pre-made base, you can turn it into something that's more you. And that's another wonderful way to kind of just unleash that experience of saying, hey, this is not just a video game character, this isn't just some avatar I'm switching into. Suddenly it goes from, okay, I'm trying a different gender, I'm trying a different model, I'm trying something new proportions, new role-playing scenarios, things that can be easily done regardless. But if you start customizing avatars to be you or your character, that changes things, because now this is me. This isn't just a Nova Beast. This is actually me. And I can express myself in a much more feminine way than I never was able to do in the past, or I would ever dare to do. When I go back and play video games, I see that most of my characters were male, and that was more out of fear than anything else. Not to say I wouldn't play female characters, but it didn't feel right in the past. Now, it was a hard jump for me to say, hey, I want to try feminine avatars. It took me a few years. My avatars were always extremely, what would you say, androgynous or gender neutral. They weren't explicitly male avatars. They weren't explicitly female avatars. They were just, I guess, agender, which is kind of where I usually come from in my background. But exploring and opening up to feminine avatars, female presentation, talking like I'm a female, presenting as a female, having people address me in she, her pronouns, playing around with my voice. Now, mind you, I'm not doing any voice training or anything. And it was really refreshing because one of the hardest things in VRChat is to kind of break past I don't like my voice. It doesn't fit my character. It doesn't fit what I want. I don't like how I sound. And that's a hard one for many people. But it's really refreshing to see women with all different vocal ranges in VRChat, masculine and feminine alike, because
Absolutely.
there's so many people exploring themselves and being what they want. And being in a feminine avatar doesn't mean you have to be transgender. It doesn't mean you are or are not planning to transition. There's no gatekeeping. You know, I know plenty of cis males who run around in female avatars and that's all they want to be, and it's natural for them. And that's fine. And that's the kind of nice thing about VRs is, there's no gatekeeping. Realistically, you can be who you want to be, present yourself how you want to present yourself. But if you are seeking that opportunity to just try new things and explore new gender identities, and you just really want to embrace the femininity that you can't get in your normal day-to-day life, VRChat's a wonderful place to do it. Or other social media VR platforms like Resonant and Chill Out VR. It's not exclusive to VRChat, but VRChat is the biggest, and it's the one I spend most of my time on. But it's so freeing to try different avatars, try different pronouns, try to experience these things, and having these wonderful friends and great support networks and communities and groups, and just how common it is here that it doesn't seem out of place. Nobody will judge you. At least no good person will judge you for being in a different gender or avatar, or presenting or changing your pronouns in your bio, or asking people to address you in a certain way. It's really humbling. It feels really, really good. And I can only say, give it a whirl, Give it a whirl. If you've always wanted to be more masculine, be more masculine. If you want to be more feminine, be more feminine. Try it out. There is literally nothing to lose. If you jump into the VR landscape, there's nothing to lose. But there could be a lot to gain by learning more about yourself. That sense of enlightenment and that little aha moment where the light bulb comes on, you go, oh wow, this feels like me for the first time ever. This feels like there's no more masking or hiding or crippling doubt. There's just a lot of changes that might come about from that. But unleashing your inner femininity, or inversely again, your masculinity or your androgyny. I mean, I dived straight into androgyny in VRChat. I was neither feminine or masculine, a little bit feminine leaning, but that's not surprising given my journey so far. But I just feel like being here gave me that comfort and that experience that you just can't get anywhere else. And that has been profoundly humbling and profoundly enlightening to my journey, which has given me the confidence to be more myself in the real world and online. What about you, Doll? Anything else you want to say before we wrap up?
I think what's most important also is that, experimentation takes a long time, and you shouldn't rush into feeling a certain way or not feeling a certain way. In particular, our expression of self and gender is very, very fluid for a lot of people. Now, it's not the case with everyone, and that's perfectly fine. But I think it's important that when you're, experimenting with how you view yourself and how you identify and how you present, it's okay to try different things. It's okay if they don't work out. Maybe you want to express yourself more femininely, and you do, and it doesn't work for you, and that's perfectly okay. We are not locked into one identity, and we can take a lot of different forms and a lot of different presentations, and it's really all about what we feel most comfortable with. We don't have to do it for the sake of others. We don't have to do it for the sake of the environment or the people around us. What we really need to do is focus on how it makes us feel. For some people, I know that they don't want to identify by a regular gender or, pronouns. Some people prefer being non-binary or not being referred to with people-oriented pronouns at all, stuff like it, its, or neopronouns, and that's completely fine. It's whatever makes you feel your best, your most comfortable, and ultimately what you feel like is most close to what you are at heart. And that can take a lot of different forms.
It's all about comfort and the journey and unleashing that inner goddess of yourself. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us for today's video. It was a lot of fun talking to you. Remember, if you like my videos, I love when you guys vibe and hang out. You can always check me on Twitch at heart.live. And please feel free to do the usual YouTube stuff. Like the video, hit the notification bell, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And I cannot wait to see you guys again next time, either on stream or on my next YouTube video. And big thank you to Dollparts for joining us today on this lovely talk, and hopefully we'll have her back again soon. Bye everyone, take care, bye
Bye everyone, have a good one.